for the devotees, those culturing Krishna consciousness under the guidance of Sadhu, Shastra, Guru, Vaishnav, they're viewing the world and life circumstances differently according to inner spiritual necessity, you could say. So many different points of view are observable to them, as you allude to, that from one point of view, the material world, it looks so undesirable, and it's described as such in the scriptures. But, tatenu kampam susamikshimano, susamiksha means on a deeper level reading, to see the friendly hand of Krishna in the background, the will of Krishna in the background. That's some higher adjustment. And from that position, the Mahabhagavata, their angle of vision is everything's adjusted. Everything's proceeding perfectly according to the will of Krishna. So we're told the Mahabhagavata has to descend to the Madhyam position, the intermediate position, to distinguish. This is desirable, that's undesirable. This is favorable, that's unfavorable. Whereas we can say from the angle of vision of the Mahabhagavata, everything's favorable. Everything's favorable for the culture of Krishna consciousness. But to adjust the Mayak misconception and adjust it in such a way that it moves toward proper Krishna conception is generally the work of the intermediate devotee, the Madhyam Adhikari. So even the Mahabhagavata descends to that platform to do the work of Guru. But according to different circumstances, different events in the life of a sadhaka, sometimes different conceptions are coming to the fore. One becomes more prominent than another. And it's not in any stereotypical way, but by divine grace. I mentioned recently that there's a famous verse in the Bhagavatam, Samasritaye Padapallava Plavam Mahatpadam Punya Yasho Morare Bhavam Budhir Vatsa Padam Param Padam Yad Vipadam Natesham. And there are similar verses to this. They say that when one comes under the shelter of the Supreme Lord through taking shelter of the lotus feet of his devotees, that the ocean of nescience, right, the Bhava Sindhu, Bhava, the ocean of nescience, which is Devi Hiesha Gunamai Mamad Maya Durataya, is insurmountable. It's impossible to cross over. We're told that ocean, once we come under the influence, Sambandha Avideya Prayojan, the proper perspective from the Vaishnava, then it becomes reduced to Vatsa Pad, the water left in the hoof print of a calf. Right? That means a drop. And as an observation, as a footnote, sidebar, we could say, how is it that an ocean can become reduced to a drop? What does that mean? Or what does that allude to? Through a change of perspective. Right? As Guru Maharaj said, our seva overall, and on this theme, is to acquire the proper angle of vision. How do we acquire the proper angle of vision? But through serving and coming under the influence of Sadhu Shastra Guru Vaishnav. Then what was oceanic in proportion and insurmountable, Mameviye prapadyante, mayametam tarantite, having surrendered and taken shelter of the lotus feet of the devotee of Krishna, and by extension Krishna, then our perspective changes, how we see things. So what was oceanic becomes like a drop. Right? This sort of thing is being given there. So it's very hopeful and realistic. Now we may say, oh, well, that's for the higher devotees. They're seeing all these things. But that is not an argument in favor of something less than the truth. Right? We want to know what the truth is. What is the goal? Right? Part of establishing perspective is to understand the goal. You're proceeding towards a particular goal, then you can say, oh, well, in consideration that that is the goal, then I know I'm at this place right now. Right? So the next sensible thing for me to do from this position is to move this way, but with the goal in mind. We can't dismiss the goal as being something unachievable, unattainable. It's only for these great devotees. No one will ever be like that. Like when the Grand Inquisitor is speaking to Jesus in Brothers Karamazov, Dostoevsky, and he says, only you and your saint friends can follow all these things, but nobody else can. So all the people are riddled with guilt, knowing that they're substandard, that they can't maintain the standard. But you, Jesus, and a few of your saint friends, followers, you can do these things, but these poor people, they can't do that. Why should they live a life riddled with guilt? We let them sin a little bit. They feel okay. They're doing fine. Right? So we hear all these statements of the scriptures. Prapanna Jivanamritam, Guru Maharaj has compiled all these different statements and expressions indicating the different aspects and limbs of surrender from great devotees. So we'll hear that. And to the degree that our hearts sympathize with that, it awakens some tendency within us. We can be honest and candid and say, oh, this is so far away. But at least we'll know the direction to proceed in. So again, back to that sloka, but that will be reduced, the ocean, to a drop. Coming under the shelter of Krishna's devotee. But there, Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur says, and here we go, with these deep level interpretation, vision of the great acharyas, he takes it to another level, back to the original point. He says, well, the water left in the hoof print of a calf. He says, well, Govinda, Krishna is Govinda. We worship the cow. Saying, so the water from the hoof print of a calf is worshipable to the devotee. So, think from a devotee's perspective, all the things of this world can be re-engineered to be seen favorably by them, right? As an impetus for remembrance of Krishna as opposed to forgetfulness.